Hi, my name's Tim Dorney. I'm the keyboard player from Flowered Up, and I'm doing a little video about how we remastered the 1991 album A Life with Brian by Flowered Up and remastered it for 2024, where it's just had a recent re-release on vinyl, CD and all digital platforms. This is just a little video to show you how we went about doing it. So the first thing we needed to do was to get all the music together to remaster it. It was done in 1991, recorded at Pete Townsend's Eel Pie Studios on the banks of the River Thames. Lovely studio, big console in there, and it was all recorded to a digital Mitsubishi 32-track tape machine, which is a 1-inch sort of magnetic tape format that recorded digital information too, not like the computers and everything we have today. Once you've done that, you have to mix it down to a stereo file, and back in the 90s this was done in numerous ways. They were recorded either to half-inch tape machines running at about 30 inches per second. They were also backed up to DAT, which is also a digital tape format, tiny little cassette thing that we don't use anymore because they're so unreliable. And in certain cases, something that was called 1630 format, which is another old digital format that is based on Sony Betamax tapes. These were all held in a warehouse near Heathrow. It's a place called Iron Mountain. It's huge. It's an oxygen-controlled atmosphere warehouse where they just store untold masters. You go in there and be Sony stuff. There'll be Ian Dury and the Blockheads, like whole shelves of master tapes for that sort of thing. We found quite a lot, but there was bits and bobs missing. Problem with things that have been recorded to half-inch tape is that these days, after 30 years, the tapes have to be baked for a period of time, normally about 5 days, to make the oxide, the brown layer on the tape, bond back to the oxide. The oxide needs to bond to the celluloid stuff behind it again. They disintegrate after years, so we had to get a few tapes baked. They're absolute experts up there at transferring stuff, so we got everything that we got baked. It was all transferred to high quality digital files that could be worked with and remastered. The next stage was to remaster the album. So we took that over to my good friend Streaky, who is a old friend of mine. He's a mastering engineer and has been for the past 25 years or so. You can find him all over Facebook and all over YouTube doing fantastic videos teaching everyone how to do mastering. The man's taught me many tricks of the trade, and with this I wanted his golden ears on it. So we took it over to his studio and started fiddling with it. So Streaky uses quite a lot of analog gear as well as digital. He works in a hybrid way, as do I these days. I have the computer with all the toys in it, but then behind me you'll see I have a load of classic old analog equipment. So we spent a day there basically bringing it up to modern standards. Things in those days were recorded much quieter. Relative levels against each other were very different. We found that on a lot of the tracks, we thought the vocal level was too low and got lost in the mix. Using software, we could bring that out. And basically just making it sound coherent and together and loud and as wide and just like a modern record would be. Like the general mastering stages you'd put through a modern record. So we decided to do that with this, and we were very happy with the results. I think the vinyl cut is fantastic. It's good and loud, it's consistent, and I think it sounds a hell of a lot better than the album before. So the first thing we decided to do with some of the songs was to increase the vocal level relatively against everything else. I used a fantastic plugin for this called Ozone Master Rebalance, which allows you to push up it's an AI type thing. It allows you to push up just the voices within a track, or the bass, or the drums. In this case, we just did it with vocals. That's the first port of call. From that point onwards, we went on to start to EQ, to take a few things out, just to clean it up, boost things, maybe boost the bottom end a little bit on some of the tracks. Different EQs make different noises. We all use different ones. The next stage, once we'd tinkered with it in the machines, in the computer itself, to get the vocal a little bit louder and take out any things that were really annoying us, we went over to the joyful things like this, this is a classic analog equalizer. It's a 5-band EQ. Very expensive back in the day, and it sounds absolutely heavenly still. At the same time, we also used a compressor. We weren't actually using this type of compressor. This is a tube compressor, but Streaky has some very nice Tegler equipment that he uses for this sort of job. Just to round the peaks off, make things a little bit fatter, and then back into the computer again for a bit of more compression. Something called space control, which I like to use, which is a widening tool. It makes the sound much wider across the speakers. That's very good. We like that a lot. From there we went into a classic clipper. You can set a threshold and this will take the tops off your signal. From there we generally went into one of 2 or 3 limiters, which is what takes your signal and makes it much louder. You can really push the level of things and make them sound fantastically loud if you want to. You don't want to go too loud like Skrillex or something like that with material like this, but we're happy with the results on it. And then finally we have things for checking the loudness. This is what tells us how loud it is. A LUFS reading. Generally hovering around 10 LUFS. Pretty much standard fare. So that was it for mastering. From that point we sent it off to somebody who cut the disc for the manufacture of the vinyl and the CDs. The CD2 was a very similar mastering process, but I did it all here. Used a bit of the outboard, but not as much as we did at Streaky's. I think I'm pretty pleased with the result, and I hope you are as well. It's been a labour of love, but it's definitely been worth the effort, and I'm happy to leave it here for you all to enjoy. Thanks for the time. Bye bye.